There we go. This is service number 284. I'm Rabbi Brian. I am joined by a host of friends. And let me put them up on the screen. There's my host of friends. Hello, host of friends. Wave, you're all here. Oh, Gord, you snuck in. Good to see you. Hi, Eileen. Good to see. Hi, Justin. Glad you guys are all here. Um, I'm excited to see where we go today, what we talk about. I want to start us with this thought. We've all spent time and energy to get here, to join this service. And my friend Ron pointed out that there's a big difference between getting here and being here. And I'd like to invite us to be here. And that
Now.
now. Let's all be here. I am sporting my Wesleyan dad hat because we just dropped Emmett off at for his first year of college, and there's all of us on campus. Beautiful day. What you can't see in this picture is Jane and I and Annie and Emmett stifling back tears. It was a beautiful drop off. I'm so proud of my boy. So I got my Wesleyan dad hat on to show for it. Want us to put this as like if we had opening prayers, this would be our opening prayer today. Once you heal, you stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Once you grow, you stop trying to shrink yourself to places you've outgrown. Once you know your worth, you stop offering discounts. Once you heal, you stop bleeding
Mm.
on people who didn't cut you. Once you grow, you stop trying to shrink yourself to places you've outgrown. Once you know your worth, you stop offering discounts.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love it.
Isn't that a beauty?
Yeah.
Could you
Once
put
you,
that in the chat, please, Rabbi?
Yeah.
um,
I'll
no,
put it in the chat.
I
I'll put it
Or
in the
apologize.
send.
chat.
Thank you for doing that. It will probably wind up on the transcript of the 2 points that get sent. I wanted to share at the start.
That's
Um,
good.
here's a grumpy cat, and the grumpy cat says, "I just tell people I'm fine because what the fuck are they going to do if I'm not?"
Right.
And the answer, uh, I think Ron said it. Ron, can you repeat our answer? What the fuck are they going to do about it if I'm not fine? And the answer is,
We're going to love on you even more.
isn't that a nice
Yeah.
idea? What are we going to
Amen.
do if you're not okay? We're going to love on you even more. But only if we know that you're not fine. And I want us to talk
Right.
about we're going to love on people anyway, but those who are in the most pain we love on, but they don't always tell us that they're in pain. I would
Hard to
encourage
love if you
us.
can't see him.
It's hard to love, right? One of the first qualities of love is seeing someone, hearing them, making them feel like they exist. And it's hard to love on someone if they are wearing a cloak of invisibility of fine. Here is,
Go.
hold on a second. I'm sure. Oh, so what we would like to see, and by we, I'm just saying me, and you tell me if you object. What we would like to see is vulnerability. We want to see people's real self. We want to see more than just the cat who says, I'm fine. But there are ingredients to making a stew, there are ingredients to making a work of art, there are ingredients to having vulnerability. And one of the ingredients of vulnerability is feeling safe. And I was taught, I don't know if my friend Afia, and many of you know Afia, who's coming back in October. And I'm very excited about that. Afia told me, I was talking about how I wanted to create a safe space for people to be able to be vulnerable. And Afia said, you cannot create a safe space because you cannot guarantee my safety. What you can do is you can create a brave space into which people can come.
Mm.
A little bit different, but I think it's important. I can't make this space safe because I don't know what Emily is going to say. Emily might say something horribly offensive to someone, and it's not then a safe space. Emily, I have my eye on you, though.
I say, not likely, Emily.
No.
Um, it's just what I can do, though, is I can ask you to join me in making this a place where people feel safe to be vulnerable, despite the fact that there are however many people who are watching right now, and the number of people who are watching. We have at least 4 people watching on Facebook. We have some people watching on Twitch. How do we make this a safe space? How do we make this a brave space? How do we do this? Is that I'm going to ask you, if you are watching this, to treat everything that you are hearing, everything you are seeing, as confidential. Now, of course, it's not. Of course, any of you have the ability to share, well, Al B said, da 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 da. But I'm going to ask you not to do that. And I'm going to ask everyone, if you want to tell a story of somebody who said something, make it anonymous. Clean it up a little bit. Change some facts around so that it can't be held back to an exact person. I want to tell you a story. Everyone get comfy. Here comes a rabbi story. I'm working at a mainstream brick and mortar congregation. It's the high holidays, and high holidays come in 2 parts. There's Rosh Hashanah, and 10 days later, there's Yom Kippur. And it's the Jewish days of atonement and forgiveness. I take the Torah from the ark. Everyone has to stand when it's a little idolatrous, but let's not go into that. Everyone has to stand while the Torah is out. So they all stand, and I walk through the congregation because that's what you're supposed to do. And people are kissing their hand to the tallis, to the scroll, and it's a beautiful thing because that's what you do when you bring out the Torah scroll. And I put the Torah scroll down and I unwrap it. I have everyone be seated, and I realize I've taken the wrong Torah scroll from the Ark. I know this because I'm supposed to be doing a reading from Genesis, and I'm somewhere deep in Deuteronomy. Torah scrolls are much like cassette tapes, which each of you are old enough to remember. You can't just, it's not a CD. It's not a record. You can't pick up the needle and you can't skip tracks. You have to roll the whole thing. And there's no way I'm going to roll from Deuteronomy to the part I need to roll to in Genesis. It's not gonna work. So I lean into the microphone and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you have ever wondered what a rabbi's worst nightmare is, but it goes something like this. It's high holidays. You've just taken the Torah scroll from the ark. You've just walked it all the way around the congregation, and you realize you've taken the wrong Torah scroll. And everyone laughs along. I say, if you would please stand as I exchange this Torah scroll for the one that's in the ark that I should have taken. Everyone stands. I exchange the Torah scrolls. I have everyone sit down. And then I lean back into the microphone and I say conspiratorially, let's not tell the senior rabbi about this. It's a very big laugh. Well, immediately after the service, I call Don and I say, he's at a sat. I should have explained this. It's overflow conditions for high holiday services. So we have an off campus and an on campus service, and he and I flip back and forth so that we see all the different people at all the different times. And I called Don after the service. I said, Don, I really screwed up. I took the wrong scroll from the ark. And he says, oh my God, Brian. I switched the scrolls to make it easier so you didn't have to take the top one, you could take the bottom one, but I forgot to tell you. Okay. That was the unconscious move that he did that made me know that he kind of sort of was rooting for me and kind of sort of wasn't rooting for me, because who forgets to do such a thing like that? So I say to him, I say, not a problem at all. Have an idea. when you go to this section next, it was the when he's back in the sanctuary and I'm at the auxiliary site. Maybe you can offer an atonement for the sin I have committed of switching the Torah scrolls on the junior rabbi during the high holidays. And he does this, and he tells everyone, um, "Ladies and gentlemen, I need to ask for forgiveness." And the crowd turned on him.
What?
The crowd turned on him because who told him? I had asked them all to hold it as a secret, and somebody squealed on me, and it backfired, and he smelled badly. Any which way, I wanted to tell that story as a story about confidentiality, and not exactly certain how well that fit, but I think it's close enough, and I'm going to continue on. Um, Quick announcement from last week. Oh, so the moral of the story, what you hear here, what you see here, let it stay here in this group. Thank you for agreeing to do that. Last week, the chat, oh my gosh, I saw the chat afterwards. The chat,
Mm.
there were two different services going on last week. There was the service I was running, and then there was the service on the chat. And I have asked people if there's something, and I never specified. But if there's some, I've always said if there's a good, great comment that we should all see from the chat, please let me know because I can't monitor the chat as I'm doing the service. What I never said was if something's exploding and on fire and there's a problem in the chat that's leading to great distraction, please bring that to me as well, and let's have a discussion about that here in the main group. Because I can't imagine that people were able to hold both what was going on in the chat and what I was talking about at the same time. So we lost a whole bunch of people. Um, that being said, I need to make a follow up, and then we're going to move on to new material. We talked last week about Pastor Roberts, and when I had a pastor friend run this congregation for me, and he uttered at the beginning of the service, he said something in the name of Jesus. And boy, did a lot of people gristle and have a hard time with that. And we had a great discussion about how can we be open and affirming if we're going to exclude. And it was a great discussion, a lot of learning that came out of it. But there was also something that happened, and it was really subtle, and I want to bring attention to it. There was this derision that, oh, come on, just get over it. It's just a word. And some people got really thrown off and got really hurt by thinking they were in this space where spiritual abuse had happened to them in the past, and they believed they were in a place that was not going to happen, and they got re-triggered, and there was a sense of, oh, just get over it. And I don't think that's a fair thing to ask people to do. If somebody's hurting and bleeding, you don't tell them to just stop bleeding. If somebody's triggered, we need to be respectful of that. So that's all my uh, comments on that. Oh, hey, pencils down. Homework time. I think that's for quizzes and exams. You do pencils down, but homework time. Last week, we started doing this. Here was a list of all the qualities that we had come up with as a group as being characteristics of having a spiritual religious life. And I asked you if you would please think on one of them. And what is something that happened in the last week that might have challenged you on one of these qualities that you can learn for, or something that you did well? Did you have a win on one of these qualities? And before I ask people to open up and share about a win or a challenge they had with regard to one of these qualities, I want to underline why we do homework here. We do homework here because this isn't a one off. I wrote it this way here. This life is an intentional, interactive growth opportunity to love both others and self. We can cover a lot in the hour that we have together. But boy, oh boy, there's 168 other hours before we meet again next week. And anything that you can do to help yourself grow in a spiritual religious life, the better. And I'm going to report in on one bit of homework. There was a question that we brought up 3 weeks ago, which was what is the relationship between hope and kindness? And we were fishing, and I finally came up with some connection between hope and kindness, and I wrote it down. I wrote, every kindness is a ticket towards hope. Every kindness done is a
I,
is
I,
a lottery ticket, is a gain, is a ticket towards having hope. Every kindness leads somewhat a little bit towards hope. That's all I got on that. If anyone has anything else that they have on the connection between hope and kindness, I know those two words have to be related somehow. Best I have is that every kindness is a bid towards hope. All right, so let's hear from you guys. What happened in the last week? What kind of challenge did you have, or what kind of win did you have with regard to any of these spiritual qualities? Go ahead, Ron.
Um, you asked us to pick out one,
Yes, sir.
and so I picked one, respect.
What did you learn this last week about
And
respect to teach us?
the I had let's say interaction with someone where there's a deep theological difference between us. And I consciously thought of respecting them for their belief and their intention behind the belief, even if I profoundly disagreed with it.
Beautifully done. So you bit your tongue.
Mhm.
Thanks.
I didn't bite my tongue.
All right,
I
tell us what did you do instead?
I looked for what was the common intent that that person
Mm,
shared,
I love that. I love that. Thank you,
and
Ron.
trying to look beyond the words.
What was the common thing upstream that you both still agreed upon?
Yeah.
I love that. Somebody else with something that you gained or you learned from all of on this topic, on any one of these topics. Go ahead, Joe.
I'll piggyback on Ron because I had a similar experience. Um, a young lady that I have known for 50 years because we went to high school together. And we are on completely opposite sides of the fence in terms of red hats and blue hats. And I made a comment that was true, frankly. I mean, I didn't not speak truth. However, in speaking truth, it hurt her more than I was aware.
Mm,
And it came out sideways. And she still probably will never apologize to me. But I decided I didn't care
mm,
because I've heard here it's better to be kind than correct. And
mm-hmm.
so I chose kindness and I chose the worth of a human being and a 50-year friendship over being correct.
I love that, Joe. I love that. I love that. Folks, if you're looking for an easy homework to do, and it's not easy, it's try to let things go. As long as, and this is in my marriage, as long as the story Jane's telling, we met 30 years ago yesterday, and Jane tells the story, and she's absolutely wrong about a few of the facts, but maybe she's not. And so I don't correct it. And the rule of thumb is if 70% of the story you're hearing is true and agrees with the way that you hear it, let it go. And we'll be back next week to see how well that goes. Anyone else have a thing they want to share? And yeah, Al.
I was thinking about the list and thinking of growth.
Okay.
And I kind of grew in the last week. I discovered that I am capable of napping to avoid my feelings, particularly this past week to avoid grief.
Mm,
And I grew in terms of learning that like napping can be a good self-care, but it can also get in the way.
love it.
Um, so I
Love it.
stopped napping and felt my grief, and I think that's a healthier choice for me for right now.
And your sleep has consolidated in, or has it gotten
Yeah, I'm sleeping better at night. I'm getting more regular hours at regular times of day
good?
instead of waking up at 4 in the morning and wondering what to do with myself.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Growth, taking care of yourself. Good. James, go ahead.
I missed last Saturday's service because we have a young man in our church. He's early 20s who is very high functioning autistic. And he has told me a couple of times when he's working at Cracker Barrel as if it's like an invitation. And so I told him, I'm going to come see you next Saturday. So I went up there, also took another friend from church, and he was bussing tables and working hard, just very seriously and very hard. And I know that's not easy for him to focus like that. And as we were leaving, he walked by and I handed him a $20 bill and said, "You work really hard. You deserve
Mm,
this."
Oh.
The next
Mm,
day in worship, I was talking about the different kinds of people Jesus would invite to dinner. And they're
mm,
not the CEOs, they're not the tech bros. They're the people who bus your table at a restaurant.
amen.
And I had a couple of other examples. And as I was finishing up, I looked over and he was wiping tears away
Mm,
because somebody had paid attention and said his job was important.
yeah. It's a simple thing you did, James, and so important. So important to do, to see somebody, to make them it's just let me say you did more than seeing them, is you made him feel seen. What a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that. Steph, go ahead. What'd you pick up in the last week?
I picked up Connection. I'm in a couple of programs that uh, for the program to work, you need to be connected to other people, and I have not done that. And so I made an conscious effort to connect with some of the people in the group, and it was amazing the response. I thought I was doing it for me,
Mm,
and they were so happy that I reached out to them that it was wonderful. It was a really growth and loving opportunity.
thank you. I'm glad you did that. I'm glad it worked out well. This is this cartoon. I just tell people I'm fine because what the fuck are they going to do if I'm not? And this cat wearing leopard bathrobe, which I don't really understand what that means, and it's got to mean something that it's wearing a leopard print and he's a cat. But the idea is that if you say you're fine, you're just hiding.
Mm.
You're hiding. And how is anyone, as James did, going to see you and make you feel seen if you hide? It's really scary to be seen, to be vulnerable, but it's where we get love. I have a
Scary.
quick little thing to teach. I don't think I've taught this in a very long time. There is a difference between a request and a demand. And the difference is not how it's said. We often would think, well, if you say it really nice, then it's a request. And if you say you better do this, it's a demand. And the definition I'd like you to think on is that the difference between a request and a demand is this. If the person who is asked believes that there will be negative consequence and it will be held against them for non-compliance, then it is a demand and not a request. Let me say
Mhm.
that again. It takes a few times to get it. The difference between a request and a demand is if the person being asked believes that it will be held against them if they do not do the thing, then it is a demand and not a request. If you think that it's going to be held against you if you don't do the thing you were being asked to do is a demand, not a request. And we can play this the other way around too, that if we ask someone to do something, and here's the obnoxious part is, if I ask you to do something, I have no control over whether you hear it as a demand or a request. What I've started to do to up my odds is I say, I have a woman who's going to turn this into a mandala. She's taking all of these words and she's going to beautify them in art. And I asked her to do that. And I said in my ask, you don't have to do this. I'm asking you to please do it. And if you don't have time, you don't want to do it, please don't do it. That's also okay with me. I say that so that it sounds more like a request and that she knows she can say no, and then I'd like to have a little discussion on this. It brings me to something that Hugh said last week. He said, it's because you can say no to me sometimes that I can believe you when you say yes. Okay, now that that's all been said, if we have any comments about I think I should check for understanding here. Here's how you don't check for understanding. Does that make sense? That's not a check for understanding.
Mhm.
That's just asking everyone to please nod. You understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
I don't know that you understand what I'm saying. Emily,
No.
would you explain to everyone the difference between a request and a demand? Pause. Time out. Time out. Don't do that. Was what I just asked you, Emily, a request or a demand?
Um, it's a request because you asked me, would I?
So now technically it's a demand if it's only a request if you don't think I'm going to hold it over your head if you don't do it.
No, I don't think you'll hold it over my head.
I intend not to, and that's why it's a request.
Um, so I'm going to pass.
I'm going to send you kisses right now. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Exactly right. It's a request, not a demand. Can I hear from someone else to explain it in their own words? Go ahead,
Emily had
Meg.
a good, Emily had a good point in the wording. Would you?
It could still be a demand if I'm going to hold it against you. Jane asked me, would you run upstairs and get more toilet paper?
Well, that's a particular issue.
More, that's a particular tissue. But
Yes.
But
thank you to the one person for laughing. Dan and then Ray, then Alex and Michael, then Steph. Oh my gosh, it looks like we've opened up a topic.
So
You know,
the interesting thing about that for me is that the person's feeling that there may be negative consequences may have nothing to do with the person that said it.
Correct,
right.
correct. Say that
Wife's
again. Say that
mother,
again.
the person's feeling that has negative consequences, that there might be negative consequences from not doing it, may have nothing to do with you who said it. My
Right,
wife's mother was like that. If she asked for something, it was like, you have to do that.
right,
And she has a tendency to feel that anytime I ask for something, or contrarily, express any doubt or question about something she's suggesting, that's a either you have to do it in the one case, or that's I'm absolutely rejecting the idea in the other
correct.
case. And it's in my mind, it's largely because her mother was like that.
Go figure. Thank you, Dan. Ray.
Well, sort of maybe in the same way, for me, um, it's whether or not I want to do it.
Correct.
Um,
Right, right.
and so
That's
you
very
can,
important. Very important.
right.
Thank you, Ray. You have to also check in with yourself. Is this something you want to do?
And if it's not something you want to do, I don't care whether you're upset or not. But
I love
that's
you.
because of where the age I'm at. I mean,
Right.
you don't have any authority over me. So
Correct.
that's really the one of the differences. I don't care. You get
Right.
upset? Nah.
It might have been a demand, but Ray just doesn't give an F. Thank you, Ray. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, I'm going to echo what Dan said about his mother-in-law. You know, my mother was very much like that. And she would routinely say things like, when you have a chance, it was very sweet. When you have a chance,
Right, right, right,
would you please, sweetly please, come up to my house and fix my computer?
right.
And when you come, I will make you lunch, dinner, whatever. You know, and it all sounded on the surface, it
It
sounded
sounds like
very,
a request. It sounds really nice.
would you please, would you
Right,
kindly, I would really appreciate it if you could.
right.
Okay. And so the surface message, like if any one of you guys, except for the ones who've known me for years and who already know this story, right? You know, you would go, oh, this is what a sweet lady. How
Right,
nice. This was not a request. It was a demand. And while the surface message was sweet, it was get your ass up here now and
right,
fix my shit.
right, right,
Right.
right, right, right. That's why it's
And
exactly right.
there was one Thanksgiving where she asked me to please fix her email, and I couldn't because it was Thanksgiving Day, and her internet service provider's tech support, which I needed to call to get a password, was closed, and I ended up getting excoriated on
Yeah,
Thanksgiving Day. Demand, clearly.
absolute perfect examples. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. It might sound really sweet, but it might not be without consequence. Go ahead, Michael.
You're
Michael,
muted.
Michael's on
Muted.
mute.
Muted.
You're still muted.
Muted.
Michael, we're going to call on Steph while you find your unmute button. Go ahead, Steph.
Okay, I had two things, and the first one is that I've been taught that if it's a request, you have three options. You can say yes, you can say no, or you can negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to
Perfect.
feel free to do all of those, otherwise you're holding somebody hostage. Like if you ask right before you owe a loan, is it okay if I pay you tomorrow? Well, they don't have a choice because obviously you're not going to pay then because you're already late or whatever.
Right, right, right.
So that choice has to be there. But like if you had put me up there, I wouldn't, instead of Emily, I would have, in my mind, not because of you, but I would have felt like I had to say yes because I was on the screen. But
Right,
that's me.
right,
So
right,
it's
right.
me picking up on those things. And the one thing I did learn is about men and women. I was told, and I think it's everybody, when you say, can you? And the implication is if you can, you have to. So
Oh,
that
interesting.
would makes a big difference. Is
Wonderful.
yeah, if you're
One.
okay with this, would you do it?
And I think what you're hitting also on, and I promise in next week, I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, is Ray talked about it, and you're talking about it, Steph, is this idea of boundaries, of being able to say no. And is somebody pushing you to do so? Michael, I think you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Good job. Thank you, Steph.
You know, in another level, we want to connect with people. This is important for me. It's important for us to be able to trust each other and to ask for favors and to get along. So at the end of the day, what matters is both parties, the one who's asking, the one who's receiving, and whatever, vice versa, has to do their own work to
Correct.
essentially be be at peace with themselves and to be clear about what their intention is. And then all these other, mind problems would, but you have, I guess at the end of the day, it's really a conversation about personal responsibility. And what does it mean? What does it mean
What does
to
it
be
mean to you
responsible?
to
What
help
does it mean
somebody?
to be responsible?
Good question. Do you have an
Yeah.
answer?
Well, I just know it's more than a burden. If you can get over the notion to be responsible as a burden or a should or judgment or something. But I just put the question out there because I think it's something we can all think about. I mean, I don't have an exact answer other than the old saying, responsibility is the ability to respond. Okay,
Well, I like
that's
that.
yeah, I know, but that's like punting, it's not really in the game.
We
So,
will I'll ask a few people if you don't have enough to do in the next week. Take this on also as some homework and let's see what we can learn.
yeah, I mean, what does responsibility mean to us in our time and in these situations we're in here?
Good. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. And Stephen.
I went at it rather simplistically. When you asked the question initially, the difference was just to a request you can say no.
Oh,
And
that's simple.
and and what becomes really clear in the conversation is that the intent and the perception are not necessarily the same, and therefore you need to somehow verify that the
Can
way
I
you're
say
hitting
no?
it is the way it's being said, the way it's being said.
Yeah.
Because you may give me a request that I may choose to hear it as a demand, and
Correct.
vice versa. You may make a demand and I may choose to hear it as a request, and there'll be consequences later.
Right.
But it's not guaranteed that it's going to be heard properly.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I think is so interesting about this is that this is not in the eyes of the person who's asking. It's in the ears of the person who's being asked.
But it's both, because
It's
it's being
both.
asked a certain way, and
Right.
you want to be heard a certain way, and you may be misheard. For example, requests that are taken as demands are somehow hurting the feeling of the requester.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
demands that are heard as requests are offensive.
Demands that are heard as requests. Yeah. You're not really giving me a choice. Thank you, Stephen.
No, it's offensive to the person who gets turned down, and he's going to lash
That's
out.
I think with the moral of this story is this is a lot it's a lot less clear than we think. We think our communication is really clear and we're asking someone something as a request and it's heard as a demand, or we hear something as a demand and it was a request. Ron, then Jack.
So this is sort of in response to Michael and Stephen's points. When you first said this, we first got on this little thread, I thought, it's my responsibility to be sensitive to the other person and see, and if they are reacting like it's a demand when I'm making a request, to reassure them that it's okay.
You do the best you can. Yeah.
And then I thought about a young person and the Quaker high school group I'm an advisor for, who is 14. He is one of the 5 smartest persons I've worked with in my life. I mean, his IQ is off the chart. And he's autistic in an interesting way in that he cannot read emotions. And so, how can I be responsible for how he interprets things?
Right.
And it's just, yeah.
As the request or
Hard.
demand are in the ears of the person who heard it. Jack, and then
And so
Harold or Connie. Yeah,
I have to be sensitive. I have to be forgiving to myself as well.
that would be good if we all did that. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Jack?
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion, aggravation is one of the hardest thing, emotional feelings I work on and try to overcome. And for me, doing that helps a lot. Just
Doing
don't
what helps a
respond to
lot.
not responding to being aggravated.
Oh, well, I think you're reading off of my outline because my next, where I am next, is here is how can we be comfortable with that which is uncomfortable? How can we sit in aggravation? And I promise we will get there in a moment. I just want to finish up this topic. Thank you, Jack. Thank you for
Sure.
Harold and or Connie.
Yeah, I was raised in the technical world, and it was always put on us that it was the speaker's responsibility to make sure that the listener understood what the intent was. And what that requires for the speaker is a little prep work. If you walk in and Jane says, "Get me some toilet paper from upstairs," she could say, "I used the last piece of paper in the bathroom. Would you get a replacement roll?" So I find that a little prep work solves a lot of these
And soften.
unintended
Yeah.
responses. So we always made to make sure that everybody understood what the problem was, because if they went off half cocked and they didn't understand the problem, they might make it worse. So I always live by it's the speaker's responsibility to make sure the listener understands exactly what's needed.
Right. Which is why I joked a little bit earlier about does that make sense? And everyone nods. I don't know that you understand what we're talking about until I've done my work and heard. Um, let's move to Jack's next topic. Thank you, Jack, for bringing me. How can we be comfortable with that which is uncomfortable? And then it says shoot the bunny. I'll explain the shoot the bunny part in a second. But the first is how do we become comfortable with that which is uncomfortable? First, we have to uh, want to. How do you sit in aggravation? Well, do you want to sit through your aggravation or do you want to go off on whoever it is who's just upset you? Do you want to be able to sit through uncomfortable feelings? If it would behoove you to sit through some uncomfortable feelings, I'd like to introduce something called shoot the bunny. This is how this goes. Somebody says something that we hear is snarky. We want to respond with snark back, but it might behoove us to sit in the uncomfortable feeling first and say, you know, what you just said sounded snarky. I'm wondering if you meant to insult me. We can get to that if we can sit through the discomfort of having been snarked at. I want to break it down. So when I taught high school math, I made it every year. I added another day to it. That when we started in September, I didn't do math. At the end of it, I don't think I did math for the first full week. We just did logic games. I learned the kids' names, and the reason I did logic games, and I'm going on a bit of a tangent. I wanted to isolate how they learned. So we did the 5 stages of learning. I taught them that. I did the stories of Plato's allegories of the cave, and I gave them instructions on what to do. And it had nothing to do with math. It was just for me to be able to see how well could they follow directions, how much flack were they going to give me back. And here's how Shoot the Bunny goes. Here's the bunny. I'm not in favor of shooting bunnies, but this is the way this exercise goes. Shoot the bunny goes over here. And you know how Bugs Bunny always outwitted, this is Elmer Fudd and this is Bugs Bunny. And then quickly they switch places. And I want you to try this to see, can you go from shooting the bunny on the right
Ah,
hand to shooting the bunny on the left hand. And I'm going to put up everyone on the screen.
that's one of those things.
It's one of those things, folks. Let's try one of those things. 2 fingers up on one hand, a little gun shooting the bunny on the other hand, and then switch. Stop. Pause right now. How does it feel to not be able to do that?
Very frustrating.
Frustrating,
Anger,
right?
anger.
And up comes anger. Fuck him. Why is
Yeah.
he making us do this stupid damn exercise? It's hard to do. It's also hard to not respond when somebody says something obnoxious. I'm just showing you here. I started doing this on what's today? Today's Saturday. I started this on Thursday. And look, I can do it now. Oops, I missed my gun. I want you to be frustrated. I want you to be frustrated right now. Some of you are still going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I see furrowed brows on a lot of people's heads. I see this is great. I see a few people's heads that are involuntarily shaking like this, like, no, 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 I can't do it. I see laughter. That's wonderful. I see some people who are doing Richard Nixon with double quotes on either side of their face. Peace. It's frustrating.
Yeah, she's doing it.
It's frustrating. Why? Why do you think it's frustrating with a side order of laughter, whereas the other thing where you're frustrated with the person doesn't come with a side order of laughter?
I think because the hand movements aren't going to change what you need to learn to do. I don't
This
think doing.
You think the stakes are higher on one than the other?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
mean
yeah, yeah.
this is a. Do you believe that mastering this is going to help you be less frustrated in a
Yes.
difficult situation? You really believe if you
I
can do
really
this,
believe that when I go to the gym
kinetics?
and I work out with barbells and I work out with heavier and heavier barbells, I get stronger and stronger. I really do believe that the better you are able to sit with frustration, the better you'll be able to sit with frustration.
Right. But the connection between lifting barbells and not being frustrated—that's what I'm asking. Is you saying the kinetic and the introspective is the same?
Here's my philosophy of education explanation. This is about neuroplasticity.
Right.
And as long as you're the first one to use fancy words in an argument, you tend to win. So that's neuroplasticity. The idea here is that our brains constantly can get rewired, and we do the same thing that we do because that's what we do. Neuroplasticity is about the idea that we can learn to do something new. And if we can learn to do something new, we can change and we don't have to be as frustrated. The folks, you are under, this is not a request or a demand. I'm not going to hold it against you if you don't do this exercise. I don't care. That's not really true. I do care. I don't care. If you want to work on, if you want to do this, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If it's fun for you, great. If it's not, great. I mean, I feel like I'm just staring at faces staring back at me right now,
No,
like I've
but
lost
there's
my
more ways.
connection.
Well, you're making a great point. I don't want to. You're making a very good point. The desire to change can be done in many, many ways, but it's about
Correct.
get in touch with what you want if possible.
So here's my next idea where I wanted to bring this. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
We looked
I
at this
would
last.
throw in there
Go
before
ahead,
we
Ray.
go on, if I might,
Go, Ray. Go.
I'm going to do it anyway, is that to sit in frustration, all that does for me and maybe for others is just make me more and more and more frustrated to the point where pretty soon I'm so pissed off that it's like a can that you've heated and you forgot to take the lid off, and pretty
Weird.
soon it explodes. And when it explodes, whatever's in it, and sometimes it's really nasty, goes over everyone, including myself. So I'm better off venting and letting the people know what they have said or what they have done is not okay with me, and maybe for the reason. Some of them don't care what the reason is. They just want to be assholes. And I know
I
that's
was
pretty.
with you up until that last sentence. I don't think anyone sets out in the morning, they go, oh, 7 a.m., let's see what kind of a dick I can be. I don't think
Stephen
Well, I
anyone
don't
Miller.
know
intends to be
about
an
that.
asshole, but we can disagree on that. Avi,
You're muted.
where are you, friend?
Thank
Hey.
you. I've done Zoom before. I don't know why I'm like fumbling. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just thinking about I was reading something recently that said we're not born with a job description that everything should be comfortable, right?
Right.
So I've been thinking a lot about that. What is the job description we were born into?
What'd you come up with? What'd you come up with? Good. What is it?
I think it's just like I have a place in the universe.
Yeah.
And the universe is crazy and chaotic, and I'm in that. So it almost leaves me with a bit of trust. Like I signed up for something uncomfortable just by being part of this whole mess.
That's
Can I
beautiful.
can I add something to it, Aviv? Um, I think of it sometimes, and I've made this joke to friends, like the brochure made it look like they didn't have waiting online in the brochure about this lifetime. Like I didn't realize how often I was going to stand in line. What's that about? Well, in the brochure, people are laughing all the time. It's sure not the way it is what I see here. It's as though we feel we were promised sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns all the time. I do get sunshine, rainbows. The unicorns still have yet to happen. Go ahead, Jack.
I think the job description is we all bleed red.
We all bleed red. I saw a bumper sticker that said, "There's only one type of person, those who die."
I wouldn't drive near them.
Huh?
I heard somebody, and I lost what it was.
Oh,
It's
Wasn't
okay.
it Carol?
it was Carol.
Okay, I'm sure if Carol wants, you're on mute, Carol. If Carol wants to share.
I just said I wouldn't drive near them.
Let me ask it. We're going to do some prayer time now. And I do want to add in something. When we're done with prayer time, not everyone sticks around for the second hour. So when we're done with prayer time, if you are leaving, put a little note in the chat so that people know that you're leaving and we can say goodbye to you. But in the meanwhile, Maria,
I'm here. I'm here.
would you be so kind?
These are the individuals to whom we are sending light and love. Paul, David, and Alma Lewis, Alex and John, Ellie, the Pander family, Imelda, Greg and family, Rita S., Heidi, Cullen and family, and Jessica, Saul R., Irma P. and family, Sally and Bob B., Trish F., Sheridan Hill, Sheridan H., Aru Lane Hill, Ebony, Beth Carney, Brenda, Gwen, Reed, Josh, Bill, and Karen, Olivia and Hope, Maceo, Arlene Rice, Ron S., Ron N., Nancy, Peggy, Roland Fleming, the Renner family and the King family, Bob S., Bernadette Applebaum, Leo M. Applebaum, and Judy Roberts, and Samuel R. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named but are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Thank you, Maria. We'll take a minute now. Okay, my friends, thank you. Quick announcements. Y'all already know the one I'm about to put up on the screen, but I'm going to put it up anyhow. Hey, this one. Are you in a particular place in your life where you need a reminder? Hey, it's okay not to be okay. Each and every one of us has hard times, and it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. Anyone else who feels the need to say these words out loud so they can hear themselves say them, please go right ahead. Good enough for me. In our last moments before we break, if you are new here, we stick around. You don't have to. It's not a demand, it's a request. Just, well, it's up to you whether it's a demand or a request. It's not really up to me. We stick around for another hour. If you've never stuck around before, Maria has a welcome center / tool shed. If you have any questions about how any of this works, Maria is your go-to answer person. Otherwise, we will break into breakout rooms. I'm going to put everyone on the screen. And let's say a nice, lovely goodbye to each other.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.